MPO is also very exciting event that came out at 18, and it finally happened. Someone won from chase card.
Yeah, I know.
We've been talking about it all season. It's
How
happened
weird-
before, obviously, but
It just was so weird, like seeing somebody in the clubhouse and actually getting the win. It was, and it all comes. What it all comes down to is Maple Hill, because like Maple Hill is probably the most entertaining course we've had on tour this year, just because the scoring separation is ludicrous out there. It's nuts. You can shoot even par in the blink of an eye, or you can shoot 8 under. Like, it is so good.
Well, Simon won. He shot 2 over the first round.
Yeah, it shows. It's one of those things where it shows why woods golf is so powerful. Obviously there are limitations to woods golf with galleries and broadcasts. You saw a little more blurriness in the broadcast. It was fine, but a little more than you would in the open course. But it shows you what it can do, because the scoring separation is nuts, because you take an early kick off a tree and some of those holes, it's just going to happen. Like, I mean, 16 is ridiculous.
Yeah.
You're taking bogey. Like, you're just...
Oh, that's what happened. 16 ended Gannon Burr's chance at it.
There's so many birdie bogey swing holes like that.
Because that was Corey Ellis birdied that one.
Yeah. And then there's the OB and the water. It's a phenomenal course, and it really flexed its muscles, because this round was such chaos. You had these narratives just shifting all over the place. You start the day, and we're looking at, okay, can Corey Ellis hold off Gannon Burr, Linus Carlson, and Thomas Gilbert? That's kind of the narrative to start the day. What happens immediately is Corey Ellis falls off the face of the earth,
and then Paul's in the lead.
And now Paul and Ricky start pushing super hard, and now you're like, oh, we got a Paul Rick battle. And then Rick kind of falls off a little bit. Now it's Paul, though. And now the narrative is like, what can Paul get into the clubhouse at to put on the pressure? But then he starts to cool off, and Simon is meanwhile heating up. So now Simon becomes that guy. Gannon Burr kind of finds himself in the driver's seat, but then he falls off. Corey Ellis climbs back into it. He gets himself right back into it. But then Simon, like, literally, I could not have told you on hole 16, there was like 5 people that still could have won. It was nuts. Like, it was so much drama.
That was one of the best
is awesome
examples of live disc golf, of why it's important.
It's awesome.
Because you had people across 3 cards that throughout the event realistically could win.
Absolutely.
And the storyline was just constantly shifting. And like, that is my best argument for live disc golf, is what you just watched at MVP Open. If you didn't watch it, sorry.
You're not going to, I mean,
you just don't get that context.
If you watch the lead card on Jomez or whoever, you're not going to see the winner.
No, I'm sure they'll get footage from Gatekeeper, like they typically do.
Is that what they do?
And they'll like put it in there, but you're not
getting the live,
you're missing the stories of Paul pushing, Simon pushing, Ricky pushing.
The shift.
You're missing all that shift.
The timing is just
timing.
different. Yeah, like, man, it was hectic.
It was electric.
That course is so sick. I love the way it just plays so tough all the way to the end. Like, there is just no let up in that course. It's so hard.
Well, you ended up...
It's beautiful.
How it worked out is Simon's in the clubhouse at 16, I believe. Linus Carlson and Corey Ellis are now tied with him going into 18. Gannon obviously fell off on 16, like we just said.
Poor Gannon, man. He was in the driver's seat.
Well, then poor Linus on tee of 18 hit first available.
Oh, my gosh, bro. I know.
You couldn't even really see the shot on coverage.
I thought it hit the hill.
I didn't know what happened.
It either hit that first tree on the left or he turfed it. I don't know.
Yeah. And so his turn was basically over. He had a shot to throw in for the par.
Well, then his roller hit the stump.
Yeah, that's pretty brutal. And then meanwhile, Corey threw one of the farthest drives I've seen on that hole.
Dude, I don't understand. He takes that little like 2-step run up and just launches.
He's built for disc golf.
And he's throwing that. It looked like a proto. It had like the test flight stamp on it, but it was a Z. Like, maybe it was like a proto
Force
Zeus
or something. I don't know.
Well, it had the Paul proto stamp.
Oh,
it was like the one that, like, the bar one.
Maybe like a Z Zeus.
It was either a Z Zeus or a Z Hades that was stable, but he was crushing that thing.
So it got way the heck out there. He had about 160 feet in, and all he has to do is get up and down for the win. Pressure clearly got to him. He grip locked it into a different state.
He got scared. Like,
it was the pressure.
As soon as I saw him pull out the baseline zone, I was kind of like, ooh, like, interesting that he's going with something a little more touchy.
He kind of ripped it too.
He pumped it. The adrenaline got to him.
Yeah.
Like, that shot, like that green, unless you're jump putting, and even then, it's never an easy green to hit. So, like, that shot by no means was a gimme.
No.
Like, let's be very clear.
Well,
but the fact that
a practice round is probably a gimme.
Yeah.
But
in the fact that he didn't even give it a chance, I mean, he just launched it. Like, you just see it come out of his hand hot, and it looked like he pulled it a little bit as well. And then all of a sudden the camera just pans over towards the crowd, and and then it's like it's gone.
Yeah,
and
it just
I'm just
disappears
like,
in the
I was
crowd.
like, what in the world?
He still almost banged the putt on the drop zone to force the playoff.
I thought he made it.
I think he thought he made it.
Yeah,
He started walking it in.
It looked cash.
It would
I
have
was
been
like,
electric.
Oh man, yeah.
Very impressive final round for him to battle through that adversity from the start.
That's what I'm saying. It was crazy.
I
getting
think
chills.
the shot of the year, camera wise, was Simon wins. Crowd's going crazy. People are chanting Simon. He walks over. They hand him the check. He's like, no, I got to do my lap. As soon as he starts the lap, the crowd gets really loud, and they keep that hot mic on and cut to Corey Ellis broken in the shed next to 18, like in the play in like a
Disc Golf
scorecard
Network,
thing.
baby.
Oh, it just showed the raw emotion. Like to me, that's not. I didn't love seeing Corey Ellis broken, obviously, but it just showed how much it means to these players.
Isn't that such
it makes it mean more to you.
Yeah.
That is like, see, that's what we were talking about earlier in this podcast, was like how we want to see the emotions. And we want to, when you're watching these events, you want to see players that care, right?
Yeah.
Like that's all I'm asking for. I'm not asking for bad sportsmanship. I'm asking for players that look genuinely like they want to care. Simon pacing around nervously, looking at his phone in the clubhouse. Like Simon, for a guy whose shtick was like not caring about winning early in his career, the dude cares about winning.
It's similar to Paige.
Yeah, he got
Once
a taste of
you taste
it.
wins, it's easy just to be like, that's what I want.
Simon,
Because everyone,
yeah.
that's what everyone. You don't play a sport professionally and not want to win.
No.
It's just easy to say I don't want to win when you're never in a position to win.
Yeah, and you just don't know. You don't know what it's like. And Simon now, he's gotten these wins. He knows he's a legit contender everywhere now, and I think he's a great competitor. And Corey Ellis, another great competitor, and like showing that emotion, like that's great. No shame. Like I mean, I would have been devastated too. But it was awesome. It was great.
And some people were like, I don't know why they would cut to that. Blah, blah, blah. It probably made more Corey Ellis fans, realistically.
Yeah,
like I'm rooting for the guy more now because you
Yeah.
saw how broken
like,
he
who
was.
are you gonna root against? The camera guy? Like exactly. It's,
Like to me, that was a great shot because it showed. It just showed how much it meant to him being that close to yet another win and falling through his hands again. And he didn't show it on the green. He showed great sportsmanship, congratulated Simon, hugged it out, whatever, walked away, got off camera, sat down, and just like was broken, and then got right back on camera, probably without knowing. But like that was a great shot. That was a
awesome.
10 out of 10 camera work there. Great switching.
we stand with JVD.
Yeah, great switching. People were saying like, why on earth would you show that on coverage? Like, you got to show stuff like that. That was great because it makes the next event like remind you.
Show's not over till you're back at the hotel, man.
Yeah, that was great. I loved it. Other storyline I think of the final round, really the whole rounds, was the 8 holes. I think the 8 holes have gotten a little too far.
I'll say my part, and then you can say yours because you got a lot of. So I just want to say, for their sake, watching them like throughout the event, hearing the roars from the crowd, was awesome. Like
Incredible.
I think that they have the best spectators out there. Like they're incredible. The 8 holes thing I think is really cool because I love when events give themselves character and they give themselves unique things to be remembered by. My problem with them was not the rowdiness. It was, and Sexton mentioned it on the commentary, it was when they were doing player announcements or introductions and making the players wait on the tee pad. They've already been introduced at the beginning of the round. It's pouring down rain. Corey Ellis is trying to put his round back together, and he's waiting on the tee pad while you yell his name out again. That's not part of the round. Like that's not. It's if you're staying in the crowd and you say welcome to the lead card or whatever as they're walking up, but making a player wait on the tee pad while you're standing out there, that's a show at this point.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think it seems like the 8 holes.
You got to stay a spectator.
Exactly.
At the end of the day, you got to stay a spectator.
This is the first year. Last year I think was great. Every year's been great. In general, they're great. I think, like you were saying, on coverage when they get closer, like hole 5, hole 6, hole 7, you can start hearing the roar of hole 8.
Yeah.
Incredible. Because the pressure then builds hole 8.
Yeah.
Multiple holes in advance. You're already starting to think about it. Love it. Nothing wrong with that. I just think that they've embodied the 8 holes and they've turned themselves almost into a show or a production, and that it's like gone one step too far for me. To where like when you walk up to hole 8, it's not about the players anymore; it's about the 8 holes.
Yeah,
like that's gone too far.
You got to tune it back just a notch, just a notch.
Yeah, well, step 1, get back over the wall.
Yeah, stay on the other side of the wall.
Let's keep the 8 holes behind the wall.
Yeah.
Let's keep the giant flags that we're twirling and throwing to each other. Let's keep that in the stands, okay? And let's just have a spotter with a green flag. Like, keep disc golf in the ropes, still disc golf. Have the show, if you want to be showy and loud, behind the ropes.
Yeah.
fine, perfect. Then I'm happy.
Yeah, there's no problem with rowdiness, but you can't interrupt what's happening on the course. That's just not fair to the players.
If you're sitting there and you're planning out your flag move as a spectator when someone hits the green, you're doing it wrong. That should be the basis. If I'm sitting there and I'm saying, okay, as soon as this hits the green, I got to run across. I'm going to toss it to my man Connor. We're going to do a 360 spin, twirl, pirouette, run off, wave, done. You take a few steps back. You messed up. Okay, wave the flag. It's on. Whoop. That's my job. Okay, that's that. That's my take on it. It went one step. I'm not there to watch a William Shakespeare play. I'm there to watch disc golf. All right, so let's watch disc golf, and then the 8 holes, be behind the wall, be loud, be rowdy, love all of that, chant players' names, do all of that, let the players play, and let you spectate.
Hey man, it's just the halftime show.
That's what it felt like. That's what it felt like. Like if they would have had a stage and Rihanna stepped out and it was like, hey, before you play hole 8, we got a 3-hour production here, I would have been like,
the
all right,
8
like that's next year. I think if we don't stop it, that's next year. Is they're gonna have Corey Wong come down out of a tree with his guitar and just
the identity
jazzify hole 8.
The thing, their identity should be really loud, supportive crowd, not like a show.
Exactly.
Because it's not like that. You don't need to be taken away from the players. Like that, if what they're trying to emulate is like hole 16 at the Phoenix Open in golf, the Waste Management. That's the identity there, is that it's the loudest hole in golf, but like nothing gets onto the field of play, you know? So like that's what it needs to be. But please don't get mad at us. We love them.
No, get mad at me. That's fine.
We love them.
Ricky ends up winning the tour points.
We stand with Sexton.
Thanks to Gannon's hole 18, which is pretty wild to see it come down to the final green, determined basically between Ricky and Paul. Because I think if Paul finished by himself, he was going to win by 0.97.
It was less than a point.
But then with Gannon tying him, somehow Ricky ended up winning by 5.
Heartbreaking.
It's pretty crazy. We'll actually go ahead and look at we'll go ahead and look at the MPO point standings now that we're talking about it. So Ricky takes home the season-long win there by less, like 4.4 points or something like that. Paul's in second, Calvin in third.
That drop off to Calvin is nuts.
Yeah, about 135. And then you have Gannon 4, Chris Dickerson 5. Simon with 4 wins is all the way down at 6th. Pretty shocking.
Just
he
remember,
really didn't. He missed Open and Belton. He missed 2 Pro Tours, really.
Just remember that when we talk power rankings, like Simon is the most confusing player in the power rankings because he's not super consistent.
Well, GMC, he went 51st.
Yeah, but then he just comes out of nowhere and wins.
He goes 51st first.
I mean, so he's confusing.
He's all over the place.
He's a winner, though.
But this is what disc golf's like now.
Yeah.
Is like you have players who will go 35th, 6th, 2nd, 1st, 3rd,
well, it's funny
22nd.
Then you have guys like Gannon who are leading him in points and have so many more top 10s, but
just can't win.
Just can't find Yeah.
Let's scroll down here. Make some notable jumps. Andrew Marweed, Linus Carlson, and Brody Smith were all able to jump into the main event.
Presnell got bounced.
Linus Carlson jumped 11 spots with his performance. Yeah. He jumped from out of the event totally.
That was sick.
Over the play-in event into the actual.
They did a pretty good job on the broadcast.
They did. I was very proud of it.
Like them giving out the scenarios. It was confusing, but they did a good job.
Well, also the UDisc was updating it after every round. As it stands right now, this is where it is. So I thought that was kind of cool. Presnell got bumped down. Albert Tam got bumped down. Nico got bumped down from the main event into the play-in event. Jake Ebenheimer tried to make the jump, couldn't quite.
But he'll get in over Nico, right?
Well, so Eagle has a play-in spot from the European Open. He's the only one. Last he talked in a press conference, he did not mention playing the Tour Championship. Okay. So if he doesn't play, then Jake Ebenheimer should get in.
Hey,
side note, Nico's banned from the PDGA. The Tour Championship is PJ sanctioned. Never mind.
Did anybody watch the $1 Million Shot? I totally forgot.
I watched the highlights of it.
Okay. Did anybody even get remotely close? No.
Nobody sniffed Albert the basket. Tam was the only one they posted about, and they're like, oh, he almost ended on the first shot. He was 15 feet wide. He went long, at least. FPO did it on a windy day, so that was kind of tough. Yeah. I think the wind they didn't really account for. But yeah, no one did it. So
darn, no more millionaire.
No more millionaire. In the whole sport. Yep. The play-in event, though, as of right now, is Andrew Presnell, Jeremy Coley, and Albert Tam. Assuming Jake Ebenheimer gets in over Nico, then we have Chandler Kramer, Thomas Gilbert, Jake Ebenheimer.
You already know Big Germ's taking that down in the woods.
Probably.
The woods, Carolina.
Gavin Babcock couldn't quite do it.
Dang
he stayed
it,
at
Gavin.
38th.
Come on, Gav.
Needed him.
Connor O'Reilly
Come on, Gav Bab.
dropped out of the play-in event with his performance. Nate Sexton dropped out, and Luke Humphreys officially did not make it after his start. He started 4th, 2nd, first 2 weeks of the year, and was not able to get into the play-in event, unfortunately.
I think he had like an awful finish at Maple Hill. He was like way back.
70th.
Yeah.
His last 2 finishes
That's
in the
almost last.
in the playoff events, he went 51st, 70th.
Dang it.
The 2 playoff events. So he could have done something. He could have done something in the playoffs because he went 8th the week before that.
I'm excited for the play-in event. I've gotten to this point where like I know the format is not ideal, and mostly because it kind of does the top players a little dirty, but it doesn't change the fact that it's
Still
really
very
entertaining.
exciting. It's very entertaining.
So and also the fact that Brody's in it, like I'm really excited for him because like this is the type of event that like anybody can win, and like I feel like Brody has a legit shot at. So I'm excited about the play-in event. I'm very pumped to watch it.
Yeah, well, we said it last year. I think we talked about it the same way. Like the Tour Championship, very electric tournament. I think that's where the Pro Tour is getting hung up. Is like it does create very exciting golf every year.
Yeah.
And so that's the tough part. Is like it creates very exciting golf, but it does put Ricky just got his award for winning the Tour points. And that's about it. Like,
Yeah.
Congrats, here's your trophy. That's that. That's the only problem I have with it. Is like Ricky did what was one of the hardest things to do, in my opinion, especially now in disc golf, which is win the points. Like be the consistent best player out there. That's like the hardest thing. And he did it with what? 4 wins? 3 wins? 4. GMC, Ledgestone, DDO, and Texas States. Very impressive season.
He'll win Player of the Year.
Yeah.
More than likely, unless
Definitely.
Paul wins US.
Well, I think some people I saw were asking about Simon because Simon has 4 wins.
No, Rick is
Nowhere near consistent enough.
If Paul wins USDGC, then
That's the question.
Then it'll be
Because then Paul will have Waco,
he'll have
Worlds.
2 majors in it. He'll have 1 less win, but 2 majors.
Yeah, he'll have Waco and Worlds, but 2 major
So
wins.
it gets very close at that point, kind of like it was last year. Very similar actually, but as long as Paul doesn't win, then Ricky wins Player of the Year.
How do you feel
Or
about?
if Simon wins USDGC, then I would probably give him Player of the Year.
How do you feel about? Which that's very likely could happen. How do you feel about the Tour points being decided with all the majors but USDGC, cutting USDGC out?